How to calculate longitude. Longitude is a measurement of how far east or west you are from a central reference point called the Greenwich meridian. Longitude is much harder to measure than latitude. Without it, you couldn't tell how far east or west you were, and thousands of sailors died from shipwreck by calculating longitude incorrectly. Things got so bad that in 1714 the British government offered a £20,000 prize, now worth about £3 million, for solving this problem. This was the most important scientific problem of the age. There were two approaches to this. One, celestial timekeeping, used measurements of the moon and reference stars, but was highly complex. The other, mechanical timekeeping, used clocks, but they were very inaccurate. It was only in 1761, almost 50 years after the competition was launched, that John Harrison finally invented a clock, a chronometer called H4, that was accurate to 0.3 seconds per day in any weather conditions. Captain Cook took a copy of the H4 chronometer on his second and third voyages in HMS Resolution. Cook wrote in his ship's log, "I would not be doing justice to Mr. Harrison if I did not own that we received very great assistance from this useful and valuable timepiece, our never-failing guide, the watch." So, how did Captain Cook use an accurate clock to calculate longitude? To understand this, we need to understand the Earth's rotation. Rotation is the spinning of the Earth on its axis, and the Earth rotates eastwards around its axis once every 24 hours. We know that there are 360 degrees within a complete circular rotation, so the Earth rotates through 360 degrees of longitude in 24 hours, which means therefore that in 1 hour it rotates through 360 degrees divided by 24 hours to give us 15 degrees of longitude in an hour. And this explains the relationship between longitude and time zones. Here on this diagram we can see the Greenwich meridian down the middle, and in blue along the top are degrees of longitude. We can see 180 degrees to the east and 180 degrees to the west, making 360 degrees in total. And in blue along the bottom, you can see the respective time zones. That is, how many hours ahead or behind a particular place is compared to the time at the Greenwich meridian. So the very important point here is that for every hour of local time that our ship is ahead of the time at Greenwich meridian, it is another 15 degrees longitude to the east. For every hour that our local time is behind that at Greenwich meridian, we are another 15 degrees to the west. So, how would Captain Cook have calculated longitude? Well, the first thing he would have needed was to have a very accurate clock on board telling him the time at Greenwich wherever he was in the world. He would then have to calculate his local time on the ship, and there is one point every day when this can be accurately calculated, and that is midday, noon, which is when the sun is always at its highest point. Using a sextant and a shadow line, you can calculate the maximum elevation, and this would be noon. Captain Cook would then compare his local time to that at the Greenwich meridian as shown on the accurate clock. If the local time on his ship was, for example, exactly 3 hours ahead of the time shown at Greenwich, then the ship would have a longitude of 3 times 15 degrees, i.e. 45 degrees east. Likewise, if the local time on Captain Cook's ship was behind that at Greenwich, then for every hour behind, Captain Cook would be another 15 degrees longitude to the west.